my name is Heather Davis. I am with Teller County Search and Rescue, and joining me today is Rob Vladimiroff. He is our Mission Coordinator Committee Chairman, and we would just like to take the opportunity to give you a little background about search and rescue here in Teller County. Teller County Search and Rescue is made up of all volunteers. There are no paid positions. The Teller County Search and Rescue is a 501c3 organization that has a board that tries to get us grants and other funding. And then the membership is made up of members of the Sheriff's Office under the Teller County Sheriff's Office Search and Rescue Posse.
Over this last year, 2025, we had 54 missions. That includes missions where they're strictly in our county, as well as mutual aid missions in other surrounding counties. Nearly 7,900 hours spent in those missions. And that's in addition to the training hours and the other things that we conduct. What's really interesting as part of search and rescue, we see a lot of different types of forms of recreation that end up with people in trouble. Out of that, 26 were hikers that got lost or injured. We had 3 hunters, 7 ATV incidents or UTV incidents. A lot of times those are in very remote areas, places that are hard to get to. 6 off-road vehicle calls and 8 different lost persons incidents. So a really active year last year. Used to be, and this was really pre-COVID, we were seeing about 25 missions a year. So it's really doubled in the last 6 or so years in the number of incidents that we get called out to.
And technology has changed a lot, so we used to have to do a lot of really fine search missions, and with cell phone towers being placed up, in-reach devices being used, now a lot of times we have exact coordinates for where the subjects are, and they've been able to call 911 and get us activated, but we still do have some, we don't really know exactly where we're going, and we have to do some real search tactics, which is why we have so many trainings a year walking through those different search tactics, search safety. The
different scenarios that we may face out in the wilds of Colorado.
And we do several mock missions in the nighttime and the daytime, although most people, the calls are at night because once it gets dark, everything is unfamiliar.
So we're always looking and recruiting new members to Search and Rescue. Teller County Search and Rescue has a great organization. We have about 54, is that correct right now, active members?
Yeah.
Within Search and Rescue, but we're always looking for more. If you're interested in becoming a part of Search and Rescue, there are not a lot of prerequisites. We're looking for people who love the outdoors, they love helping other people, because we are a service-first organization. It does take a lot of time, but you're with interested people that like the same things, love to help, and love to go out in the middle of the night and look for folks that are in trouble. So in order to join Search and Rescue, if this is something that you're interested in doing, this is a really good time to do that. We start our training cycle in April. We have a number of classes. In fact, there's usually about 2 classes a week to get people up to speed and ready to go out in the woods. Part of that process, you submit an application to the Teller County Sheriff's Department, and they do a background check. And then we begin the training and specifically address the things that keep you safe in the woods. When we talk about search and rescue, the first person, the most important person on that search is me. Number 2 most important person on the search is Heather and the rest of the team, right? So it's me, it's us, and then finally the subject that we're searching for. We don't want to create additional searches or additional rescues within our own organization and group. So we make sure that first and foremost we're safe, and that requires a lot of detailed training, some on specific types of equipment, a lot on the specific nature of searching, the tactics, how to stay safe while we're conducting these searches in rugged terrain, oftentimes using ATVs, UTVs, snowmobiles, mountain bikes, e-bikes, as well as our own 2 feet.
All of those trainings really help us become better teammates because we're together. We get to know each other's personalities, what we can and can't do. We do a fitness test every year. It's just a specific course, and it's just however long it takes you, but that just puts you into a certain fitness group, so that we don't pair somebody who is slower like I am with somebody who's much faster, because you always move your team at the slowest person's rate. So it helps us to really put our teams together in a well-organized manner so that we can send them into search areas best for their fitness ability.
So I wanted to talk a little about how it felt when I first joined Search and Rescue. I was really uncomfortable. I was really nervous to go into this group. I wasn't a member. A member had invited me to a meeting. So Teller County Search and Rescue meets on the first Wednesday of every month. That's our general meeting, and it's an open meeting. Anyone can come, you can get more information and determine whether or not it's something you want to pursue or if you want to apply. When I came, I was really nervous and uncomfortable. I sat by myself. I was kind of like surrounded by these people, and I didn't know what to expect. Search and Rescue, this team is super friendly. I had a number of people come up and introduce themselves and welcome me. They introduced me to the group, and I realized that, hey, I am in the right place. The first question they asked is, why do you want to join Search and Rescue? And I thought for a minute, and I thought about all the time I spend in the woods, hunting, fishing, hiking, biking, all of the things I do, and the different times when I was a little worried about whether or not I was going to find my way back to the car. I think Heather can relate.
Yeah.
Why did you join SAR, Heather?
Why did I join SAR? Because we could see the car and we could not figure out how to get down the mountain to get to the vehicle, because we just kept running into rock faces. And we were like, running Search and Rescue might not be a bad idea. Not only do we enjoy being out here, but they could probably teach us better how to navigate and how to read a map so that this doesn't happen, because we've obviously been in situations where there were a couple times that we were like, I don't know that we were quite ready for what we decided to take on, and luckily we made it out. And so we never want to shame anybody, for any mistakes that were made when they went out, because we have been there.
We've all been there. So we meet on the first Wednesday of the month at Northeast Teller Fire in Woodland Park. If you're interested in more information, you can visit our website. That is tellersar.org.
Some common misconceptions about Search and Rescue is, since we do work for the Sheriff's Office, is that we are law enforcement, and we are not law enforcement. We are all just volunteers who are working to help our community. The best way, if you get into trouble, to contact Search and Rescue is to call 911. That's how we get dispatched. You just call and tell them you're injured, you're lost, you're disoriented, whatever the problem is, and they will activate Search and Rescue to come and assist you.
Let me just jump in. We have an area where there's not cell service in a lot of places. The cell carriers partner, so when you call 911, even if you have no bars, it may go through. The 911 operators can also receive text messages.
Yes.
And sometimes if voice won't go through, a text message does. Also, if you have a satellite device, an inReach or something similar, you can send an emergency request that way.
Search and Rescue is free. We do not charge for our services. We are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, holidays included. So we are always around and available and willing to help. And all of our team is, just so dedicated to our community and to those who come and visit Teller County, that we don't want anybody to not go out and have a good time. But if you've gone out and something happens, we definitely want you to call earlier rather than later. If you realize you're lost, don't wander around waiting for dark. Make that call as soon as you know that you might be needing help. Also, you don't have to wait 24 hours to report somebody missing if they've gone out on a hike. We don't want the subject to think that because they haven't been missing for a certain amount of time that we're not going to come. As soon as we know that somebody is in trouble, Search and Rescue will get called and we will be sent out right away by dispatch.
The weather in Colorado changes fast. It gets cold at night in the summer. I've been snowed on in every month of the year. Call early, please. We'll come out, we'll give you a hand. Once in a while we find you on the trail. You found your way back, and that's great. Sometimes we can talk to you on the phone and just walk you through. Oh, you're 100 yards from the trail. Head uphill and you'll hit it and you'll be back on track. So we're happy to help. Don't be afraid to call 911. They're happy as well to help. We'll get started and help you get out safely. And the sooner we do get that started, the better.
Because if it took you 4 hours to get up the trail, it's going to take us at least 5, because we also have to get to the trailhead to get to wherever it is that you are at. So it's not always fast, and it can be a little scary when you're sitting there in the dark and you hear all the noises around you. But stay put. Once we know exactly where you are and we have teams in the field, we are going to get there as soon as we absolutely can and help you get out of your situation.
We also love working within the community. At many community events, you'll see our booth, you'll see us around. We like what's called preventative SAR, or preventive search and rescue. And that's where we educate the community on what search and rescue is, as Heather's talked about, how to get help if you're in the woods. But we also want to talk about what you can do to stay safe. There's a number of things in terms of preventative SAR that you can do. First and foremost, don't go alone. If you're traveling in the woods by yourself, it increases your risk. If you are out in the woods, tell someone where you're going. Tell them the trailhead you're starting at, what your intention is. We've had rescues where people call up and say, hey, my husband is overdue. He went out four-wheeling and it's somewhere really rocky. If you know our environment, that doesn't help us very much. It's one of the gulches. Well, okay, that's a little more specific, but there's gulches off of several different major parts of the county. So be very specific. I leave a note for my wife, or when I start my hike, I'll send her a ping from my phone that says, hey, I'm starting and this is where I'm starting from. We understand sometimes things change, but in order for us to find you quickly, it really helps if we have a good starting point.
Let someone know when to expect you back. It's great to know when you're gonna go out, but okay, I'm not gonna be back until 6, and now it's 10 o'clock and you haven't come back home. Now they're worried and they can say they're 4 hours overdue and we haven't heard. There is a lot of Teller County that doesn't have cell service, so it could be that they've gotten back to the trailhead and are on their way. So having the vehicle description so that we know what it is that we're looking for, so that we can flag somebody down and say, hi, are you Joe Smith? We were looking for you. You're okay? Okay, great. We'll make sure that your wife knows. We can call back to dispatch and have them radio and say, we found them. They won't be in cell phone communication for another probably, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it happens to be.
The other thing is to be prepared for the weather. In Colorado Springs, it may be a beautiful day. I think it was, we're at the end of February and it was 69 degrees in Colorado Springs yesterday. You may think, oh great, I'll just go hike up Pikes Peak. It's not really a cold winter, but you still need to be prepared for winter conditions. The weather changes fast. In the summer, lightning storms come most afternoons. That leads to hypothermia. So having extra food, extra water, a raincoat, a method for communication. A lot of the cell phones now have satellite connection or connectivity as well. Learn how to use that when you're not in trouble.
A lot of people use mapping devices or apps for their trail that they're going to be going on. Know that does drain your battery quite a bit, so it's always great to have some kind of a battery backup, especially if you end up out there for a long period of time. There's a lot of times that we get calls where they're like, I have 9% battery left. And we'll say, shut it off, we'll call you back in 20 minutes and give you an update of where we are, because batteries, even especially in the cold, tend to drain faster. So while your trail app might be great, which is what I was using when I got lost, you just never know if your battery is going to die. Now you don't have that form of communication.
So just to summarize, Search and Rescue is a nonprofit organization. No one is charged in the state of Colorado for rescue. So call early, ask for help. Be prepared in the woods. Google 10 essentials. Those are the things that you should have with you, even on a short hike. This is a great time to join Search and Rescue. If what we've talked about today is interesting to you, again, go to our website, come to our general meeting, 7 o'clock off of Evergreen Road at Northeast Teller Fire. But be prepared if you go out in the woods. Let someone know where you're going and when you're expected to return. And finally, go out there, enjoy the Colorado wilderness, get lost. We'll find you.